Welcome to part 2 of my cross-Canada tour. We're now just entering Ontario, my home province, and I'm super happy to be here. It's been a long drive across the prairies. Started out in Edmonton. You saw in part 1 I visited Final Boss Video Games, my favorite video game store back in Edmonton, and then we made our way across the country. We stopped in Saskatoon and Regina in Saskatchewan, visited a few stores there, saw my friend Sean in Regina, and then carried on to Winnipeg, and you saw at the end of part 1 that had some interesting experiences in Winnipeg, and now we're entering Ontario. The northern half of Ontario, the next 18 hours or so of driving is extremely rural, absolutely beautiful territory, and I will be stopping to show you some scenery along the way. But we're not going to see another video game store for a while. I may try to stop in Sault Ste. Marie if the timing works out properly. See if we can find a store or two there. We may stop in Barrie, which is pretty close to my hometown. But at the end of this video, stick around to the end of this video because you will see all of my pickups from the entire trip. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys. Stay tuned. I'm in Kenora now. Kenora is a vacation getaway. It's an absolutely beautiful place on the water. Ontario has some of the greatest fresh water, especially northern Ontario. I'm in the Tim Hortons drive-thru right now, getting myself a coffee, which is fuel for the continuing road trip. But yeah, Kenora is absolutely beautiful. It's a vacation destination. People come from all over. Especially Winnipeg. A lot of people from Winnipeg come here because it's fairly close and there's some beautiful water and some great camping. So, driving through, beautiful. It's about 1 p.m. right now, so sun's high. There's a few clouds in the sky, but definitely looking forward to getting on towards Thunder Bay. I should reach Thunder Bay by about 7 to 8 p.m., somewhere in there. And then carry on, hopefully, to Sault Ste. Marie, which is another 7 hours, so it's going to be a long night. Yeah, can I have a large coffee with 2 cream, please? That'll be all, thanks. Thank you, sir. Nectar of the gods, thank you. Just some of the reasons people love Northern Ontario. Just take a look behind me here. It's Marina, private dock here. Just absolutely gorgeous in the sunshine. It's a beautiful warm day. It's probably, maybe 20-ish degrees, just about perfect. Absolutely gorgeous view here of Kenora. Kenora is a little bit off the main route as to where I was going. It's about a 5 or 10 minute detour off the highway onto kind of a sub-route. It leads back onto the highway. But in Northern Ontario, it is always best to never pass a gas station. There's actually signs up along the road, reminding you to check your fuel levels, because if you don't gas up at every opportunity, you may run out before you find another gas station up here. For a stretch of about 16 to 18 hours of driving, you're lucky if you see a gas station every 3 to 4 hours. So you need to buy fuel when you have the opportunity, even if you're not close to empty. Especially if you're driving through at night, because a lot of the gas stations that do exist are closed by the time, night falls. So you definitely want to be pretty careful to stop at every town that you can possibly find. scenic roadside stop here. Absolutely gorgeous. The water, the trees, just absolutely. Northern Ontario is just an absolutely gorgeous place. It's rough, it's wild, it's remote. You can't get better scenery than this. The fishing is amazing up here. The boating, water skiing, so many great things you can do in Northern Ontario. Absolutely gorgeous. I just thought I would stop here and show you this panoramic scenery here. Stopped in a little place called Vermilion Bay to get a sandwich and maybe go to the bathroom or something, so we'll have a look and see what's in here. So, after almost 3 days of driving, I have finally come into Eastern Standard Time Zone, which is my home time zone. As you can see here, I'll get a little bit closer to the map here. So yeah, as you can see, I came from over here in Mountain Standard Time, came all the way across Central Standard Time, and now I'm right in here in the Eastern Standard Time Zone, which covers most of Ontario and Quebec. So, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit closer to home. I've still got a good probably 18 to 20 hours of driving to go, but I'm getting there. Hey guys, so I didn't make it to Sault Ste. Marie tonight. The GPS was giving me instructions that included going across the border into the United States, and I wasn't really prepared to do that with Corona and everything going on right now. I don't even think I could have crossed the border into the United States. So the route through Canada that included going around the north of Lake Superior is considerably longer. I left Winnipeg at about 10:30 this morning. It's now about 8:30 p.m., including a time zone change. So I've been on the road for about 9 hours, give or take. And unfortunately, I could have gone for another maybe 3 or 4 hours, but there's really nothing between where I am now in Thunder Bay and Sault Ste. Marie, except for some very small towns that don't even have hotels. So my choice was pretty much clear to stop here for the night. Thankfully, I got a better hotel. I mean, it's a Super 8, it's nothing special, but it's clean, it's, the air conditioning works, unlike the place last night, so I'm pretty excited to kick back, relax, order some delivery, and play a little bit of Nintendo Switch. Alright guys, see you tomorrow. Hillcrest Park in beautiful Thunder Bay overlooking Lake Superior. I'm just about to start the next leg of my journey. I thought I would show you some of this beautiful scenery. Next stop, Sault Ste. Marie. I'd like to show you a lot of fancy B-roll of me playing my Switch and me eating snacks and, joking around and messing around, but the fact is, I'm the only one in this car, and it's a pretty miserable drive through Northern Ontario. Despite the beautiful scenery, it's It's literally like 18 to 20 hours of just driving and driving and driving and driving. And there's no break for me if I want to get home at any point soon. So, yeah, I've got to drive about 8.5 hours to Sault Ste. Marie, and then about 7.5 hours from Sault Ste. Marie to home. So I'll be lucky if I make it by midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. I may even have to stop and take a nap because I'm looking at say 15, 16 hours drive home. I don't know that I'm going to be able to make that in one stretch. Probably not. So I hope you're content with looking at some of this beautiful scenery. I am slowly going crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 switch. Crazy going slowly. Am I 3, 5, 4, 5, 6? Oh my god, I can't even sing the crazy song. 418 kilometers to go to Sault Ste. Marie, and then another 650 kilometers home. So about 1,100 kilometers to go yet. It's 11:40 a.m. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be driving for another 12 or 13 hours. Northern Ontario's a bitch. Hey, I managed to make it to Sault Ste. Marie finally, so I thought I'd stop at a store I heard about called Vintage Games and Junk. Let's check it out. So I didn't find anything to actually pick up in this store, but it was a pretty interesting store, as you see from the footage. Quite an eclectic mix of stuff, from games to comics to VHS movies, toys and figurines, and even old Coke bottles and antiques. Really an interesting store, and worth visiting at another point when I have more time. So after 15 long, hard hours of driving, I finally arrived in my, shall we say, ancestral home of Lindsay, Ontario. Lindsay's a small town of about, 25,000 people or so, and yes, we do have a video game store. So welcome to my home store of Iceman Video Games. Iceman Video Games has been my home store in Lindsay, Ontario for literally as long as I can remember. I mean, it's been probably at least 10 years that store's been there, if not more, and they've just managed to serve me really, really well over time. Now, as a small town store, I can't complain about the selection or the prices. Things are pretty decent. However, if I do want something a little more rare or a little more uncommon, I am probably going to have to drive to the city. This store does have some interesting stuff, but nothing really rare, just due to the clientele in the small town. We have a lot of people that are Call of Duty fans and, fans of pretty common genres like racing and fighting games and things like that, and there's not a whole lot in the way of, like, obscure JRPGs or other obscure titles that you don't see every day. So, this is definitely my home store in terms of picking up things like Mario titles and, common stuff, but I definitely do have to make a trip to the city every now and then to find something a little more exceptional. Okay, guys, we're moving into the pickups portion of this video now. I'm so glad you stuck around for this because I picked up some amazing stuff. As you can see, it's been a couple of weeks since I posted the first half of the video. Because I was just moving into my new place and setting up the new studio and everything here. I'm sure most of you are familiar with my son Kaz. He's here with me today, which is a real special treat because we've been at opposite sides of the country for the last year. So super excited that we can share the studio now.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I'm glad that you finally made your way out here, and these pickups look awesome. I'm excited to see what you got.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to kind of run through the pickups fairly quickly today because the first half of this video is pretty long, but I just want to give you some context on what I picked up. So the first thing that I picked up, I actually didn't show in the video, but I went to somewhere called the Super Flea, which is a big flea market in Edmonton, and one of the things that I picked up there was this PlayStation Move Book of Spells, complete in box set here. The reason why I picked this up, I'm not really all that interested in this game, but I've never really been had any experience with the PlayStation Move sort of ecosystem. I've never had the controllers or anything, and this was a nice complete in box set for $25, which was pretty reasonable, and it comes with a Move controller and the camera, and this game and a special edition book of spells, I guess, whatever it is. I guess it's loosely based on the Harry Potter universe. I'm not real familiar with it, but I mostly just bought it as a cheap way to get into the PlayStation Move ecosystem. Have you ever played PlayStation Move stuff?
Not too much. I think I might have played it at my uncle's or something years and years ago when it was kind of new, on like one of those demo discs, and it was a really cool concept and a lot better than the Wii's motion controls. It played a lot more smoothly, but I'm really excited to get into this and check it out at some point.
Okay, cool. So the next thing I picked up when I was in Edmonton, and Edmonton's just a fantastic city for video games and collectibles, pop culture stuff of any kind. There are so many stores to go to. I went to a pawn shop that was actually related to one of the pawn shops that I worked at in Edmonton, and I picked up a copy of Civilization 6 for the Nintendo Switch for $15.
Not a bad price to get into the Civilization franchise. I wouldn't say the Switch is the best place to play it, but I mean, if you've got it, at least you've got a way to play it, right?
Strategy games like that are always better on the PC, but, for $15 to be able to, get into something like this on the go that I can just kind of open and close, for 15 minutes or something and play through a game, I thought that'd be pretty fun.
It is. I've got it for my Switch, so we could maybe do some sort of local play or something at some point.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So, another game that I couldn't pass up. I've been looking for this game for literally the entire year that I was in Edmonton, and I couldn't find it anywhere. This is a fantastic game that's highly recommended by a lot of YouTubers. Metal Jesus mentions this game over and over and over again, and that is Kirby Planet Robobot. I've never played this game. I really want to play this game because it's recommended as one of the coolest Kirby games of all time, and I'm really into my 3DS and DS collection right now. I did have to pay, a significant amount for this game because it is a little harder to find and it is really popular, but glad to add that to my collection. Have you ever played it?
Not this one. I've played a couple of other Kirby games back on the DS. I think like Kirby Mass Attack and Kirby Squeak Squad, which I think are both considered to be spin-offs more or less, but I love the Kirby franchise, and at some point I'll be borrowing this game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next game, which I did actually pick up at Final Boss Games, which you saw in the first video, and that is Dragon Quest VII for the 3DS. Ooh. I'm kind of working on getting all of the Dragon Quest games that were released in North America, maybe excluding, I don't really want the NES games, I would rather have the collection. There's actually a collection on Switch, I believe, that has the 1, 2, and 3.
Is that the Dragon Quest Mana games? Or?
No, the Dragon Quest collection. I think it's actually Japanese only, but it is available in English, I'm not sure, but it has Dragon Quest, I think, 1, 2, and 3 on a Switch cartridge, and I would rather play it that way, even though I believe it's ports of the mobile game.
Yeah.
Which were kind of remasters of the NES versions, and I think there was some quality of life enhancements for the mobile version, but I'd rather play it that way. I'm not really into collecting NES cartridges. So, this game here actually came from Next Wave Video Games, which I also did not show in this video, but I have shown Next Wave Video Games in other videos that I've made in the last year or so. And that is Radiant Historia. This game is absolutely gorgeous. On the DS, it's a really desirable game to own. It's an Atlas title, and I'm going for, as much as I can, a complete Atlas collection on the systems that I collect for. I believe I picked this up for $20, which is really reasonable. So I couldn't pass it up at that price. And to finish off the Edmonton segment of these pickups, something that I actually have been playing quite a lot, and I really love this game, and that is Rune Factory 4, the Archival Edition, the box set. It's got a nice art book inside. It's a nice package, soundtrack, and stuff like that. I picked this up really cheap. It was not brand new, but it's in absolutely mint condition, and I also have this game on the 3DS, but for some reason I couldn't get into it on the 3DS. As soon as I launched this on the Switch, I was just instantly hooked, and I don't know what the difference is really, but
I wouldn't know. I'm a sucker for box sets like this. I really wanted to get it, and if it wasn't for that $80 price tag, I probably would have gotten it.
Yeah, I think I picked this up for like $49.99
That's
or
awesome.
Something like that, so I thought it was a pretty good deal. So along the road, the first store that we stopped at was in Saskatoon, and the game that I ended up picking up, it's funny, I actually scanned past this game in the video, and that's Project X Zone. And this is a game I don't know a whole lot about, but I bought this because it's basically an RPG that has crossover elements from, Bandai Namco, Capcom, and Sega characters, and there's over, 50 characters that are, I guess, playable or interactable in the game.
So it's almost like an RPG non-Nintendo Smash.
Yeah, but it's an RPG, like a tactical RPG or something, from what I understand. That's pretty awesome. I'm interested in getting into it, checking it out. I've actually heard that it's not the greatest game, but I just think it's super collectible, that it's like this crossover. And again, I think I picked this up, $24. And it's got the kind of big box presentation and stuff here.
Which I'm a sucker for again.
Yeah. It's got some, it's got a, what is this? Oh, a poster.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it comes with a poster and like a little visual book here with the artwork. Kind of nice. And for $24, I figured it was a worthwhile pickup at that store in Saskatoon. So carrying on here, I need mention at the beginning of the Regina segment of the first video, when I was with Sean, that he challenged me to pick a game, any game, and it would very likely be at this Cashopolis that we visited. Cashopolis is a pawn shop, but it's about 50% games and movies, and it's really the biggest destination for video games in Regina because they don't have any dedicated video game stores. So Cashopolis has kind of filled the void there. And while I didn't... the game that I said that I was looking for was Rune Factory 3 on the DS, which is kind of rare and expensive for some reason. I didn't find that, but I was able to find the original Rune Factory 1 on the DS.
That's pretty awesome.
And it was only $15. Now, I don't think that Rune Factory 1 is particularly rare, but I thought $15 was a pretty fair price. I mean, it comes with manual, and I mean, it's in absolutely beautiful condition.
Well, and I mean, to start, like, the first game in a franchise that you've recently come to love, that's always fun to get that game and to check it out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, super happy to add this to my collection. I did mention that I picked up 3 games at Cashopolis. The next game I picked up, again, was $15, and that's Dragon Quest Monsters Joker for the DS. I don't know much about this game at all, but I am going to pick it up and play it here pretty shortly. This is a game that just kind of goes with my Dragon Quest collection. I am trying to get as much Dragon Quest stuff that was released in North America as I can because I really love that franchise. I guess this is a side game. Maybe some kind of a fighting and collecting game or something. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to check it out. It's maybe kind of a Pokemon spin-off or something from the looks of it. I'm not 100% sure.
Definitely looks like it's kind of a creature collection game in the vein of Pokemon or Digimon or whatever.
Yeah. And then the last game I picked up at Cashopolis was another Atlas game. And I've actually looked at this game several times and passed it up because of the price, and that is Eternal Poison. Now, this game was $40, but I've seen this game at multiple stores for $60 or $70 and turned it down. This is a really beautiful game on the PS2. Like, the artwork is fantastic. The stories are, typically kind of weird in Atlas style, but it's definitely a game that I'm going to treasure in my collection. And then we went to one more store in Regina, which was another pawn shop, and they had a small collection of games, and I picked up just one kind of, game I didn't really know very much about, but Sean recommended it because he had it on the PSP, and that is Exit for the DS, and I guess this is kind of a concept platformer puzzler sort of a game. I'm not really familiar with it, but Sean said that it was a good game. And it was $10. It's complete. It's got the manual and everything. So I was, pretty happy to grab that up just to kind of represent Regina along the way.
Back in my DS days, I actually really wanted to get that game. Just it seemed like a really cool puzzler that I saw in some magazines and whatnot back in the day. So it's really cool that you got it, and I can steal it at some point.
Yeah, for sure. So the next stop on my trip, as you saw again in video 1, and this is kind of wrapping up part 1 of the travel series, and that was, what was that called? Cobra Collectibles in Winnipeg. Fantastic store. I was absolutely blown away by that store. They had so many things that you just don't normally see, and such a wide variety of things. I mentioned in that video it was almost like being at like a like a Comic-Con or a gaming convention or something. It's like every time you turn a corner, you're presented with some new vista, whether it's Star Wars toys or, some kind of cool Marvel figures or comic books or not really movies, but like movie paraphernalia and all kinds of anime-related stuff. It's a really cool store. I mean, I've seen stores like that kind of attempt to bring together, everything pop culture, but usually it just ends up being a mess. It kind of looks like a junk store. But this store was really well done. And I picked up there something that's been a bit of a grail item of mine for a while. A lot of you will know Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch on the PS3 was one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time, and it's probably my favorite PS3 game of all time. I now have it on the Switch as well, which is fantastic. But I've always wanted to have the original game, and that is this. That is Ni no Kuni, the Japanese collector's edition on the DS. This is absolutely fantastic. Now, I can't really play this per se without getting some kind of a fan translation loaded on like a hacked DS or something. But I just really wanted to own this. This is such a beautiful presentation here. You open it up, you've got the spell book inside. Now, from what I've gleaned, the original game on the DS is actually somewhat different than what we got on the PS3. I originally thought the PS3 was just basically a remaster, but apparently it's quite a bit of a different game. Here you have, different spells and stuff that you would have drawn with the stylus on the DS. Kind of a, spell book and a creature compendium in the back with all the different creatures that you can collect and stuff. I guess the game is pretty similar to what we would have seen on the PS3, but it's, considerably different enough that I definitely want to play this individually. Now, I may just emulate this somehow on my computer, just because it's easier to load the fan translations and stuff, but I really wanted to add this to my collection, and the price was fantastic.
That's honestly a beautiful game. A beautiful spellbook. I love the presentation for it as well. I'd totally play it if I knew Japanese.
So moving along here, that was my... I'll put that together later. That was my last pickup outside of Ontario. Now, I went to a couple of other stores and stopped in Sault Ste. Marie, but I didn't actually buy anything. When I got home to my home store of Iceman video games, I did pick up a couple of things. A friend of mine gave me a PSP that was not in working condition a couple of months ago, and I've been kind of working on getting it going. I bought a charger for it, I had to buy a battery for it, and a memory card, and I got it all working, so I picked up a couple of PSP games. The first game I picked up was Fat Princess Fistful of Cake. Now, this is actually mostly a multiplayer game. It does have a single-player campaign to it, which is, I won't say it's Pikmin-like, but it's kind of like where you have like a crowd of people and you send them to do different things and stuff. You got like villagers, and it's basically like a capture the flag sort of a game where you've got to try and capture the other person's princess while you're feeding your own princess to make her fatter so that they can't carry her away. And I'm not sure of the multiplayer, but I think you can do local multiplayer with 2 or 3 different PSPs or whatever, which would be super cool. But this game is actually really highly reviewed, and it's a lot of fun, so looking forward to playing this now that I've got a PSP. And then I picked up another Atlas game for the PSP, R-Type Command. Now, I absolutely, for those of you that know me, and you would certainly know, I love shoot-em-ups. R-Type and Gradius are some of the most well-known shoot-em-up series of all time. So I didn't really feel like I could go wrong for $15. An Atlas title and an R-Type title. I'm kind of curious because I guess Atlas just released this. They obviously don't make R-Type, but, definitely happy to add that to my collection. And then going back to the simulator genre, which I absolutely love, stuff like the Harvest Moon series, Animal Crossing, farming type games and stuff like that, I picked up Innocent Life for the PSP, which is Harvest Moon, but futuristic, like sci-fi. It's like a sci-fi Harvest Moon. So I've got the Fantasy Harvest Moon with Rune Factory, and now I've got a sci-fi Harvest Moon with Innocent Life. So I'm looking forward to giving this a check out pretty soon. I just wanted to get a couple of titles for the PSP, just to get me started in playing with the PSP. I used to have you remember I had a PSP and I traded it for a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Which I didn't like and I sold to you.
Yep, so it's sitting on my shelf now.
I mean, not to say I didn't like the Super Nintendo, I just didn't like collecting for the Super Nintendo. It just, there's only maybe 20 or 30 games that I would really want to play on the Super Nintendo on any kind of regular basis. And for the most part, having a hacked Super Nintendo Classic just serves me better.
Right.
Being hooked up to HDMI, it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier to maintain than cartridges and stuff. So the last game I have here to show you, I also did pick up at Iceman Video Games. This is another one I've been looking for a little while. It came pretty highly recommended by Happy Console Gamer, and that is Code of Princess EX. Now, this was also a 3DS game, then this was ported and kind of graphically updated. Now, I played a bit of this game, and, it's essentially like a procedural fighting game where you kind of go through kind of a linear set of levels and you fight. It's not exactly a beat 'em up. It
looked kind of like, when I looked at the back of it, it kind of looked like a 2D platformer mixed with an RPG.
Kinda, yeah. It kind of reminds me of like Odin Sphere or Dragon's Crown in presentation, where you're kind of traveling in sort of a linear fashion and fighting, enemy after enemy.
But then it has that beat 'em up sort of feel.
But then it has that RPG leveling up and that sort of thing as well. It's a lot of fun, and there is multiplayer. So that's the pickups for today. That represents everything that I picked up kind of around the trip, and I'm glad that you stuck around to the end of the video, because there was some pretty interesting things here that I wanted to show you. If you are interested in any of these games and wanted to make a comment or want to connect up with me and play some of these games, any of the games that are available to play online on the Switch Online or anything, drop me a comment, drop your handle, and we may be able to do that at some point in the future. I know Sean is going to be trying to do that with me. We're going to be doing some videos where we do some of the Nintendo Online, the Switch Online games, like the NES and Super NES games. We're going to try and do some of those multiplayer games, maybe make a video out of that. So anyways, guys, keep in touch. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. Now that we're new in the new studio and I'm all set up, I will be putting out a couple videos a week again. Sorry for the delay over the last couple of weeks, getting moving in. Everything's kind of been a little crazy. Zach can attest. Setting up this furniture and stuff was no small feat.
Took us a few hours, but we got it done. It looks good now. I'm really glad that it's up.
Yeah, me too. So, and I finally managed to get kind of all my stuff all in one place, which, for those of you that have been following my channel, I've been out in Edmonton. Half my stuff has been here in Ontario in storage, and most of the stuff that I had in Edmonton was stuff that I bought in Edmonton. So, between bringing all that stuff back and then going and getting all my other stuff out of storage, it was a couple of weeks of a lot of hard work, but we finally got it all together here. So expect to see quite a few more videos soon, and we'll be back.
Yeah. All right. Stay classy, guys.